good evening, and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. We want to welcome you guys to our, of course, great and phenomenal show that we bring to you every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. on the West Coast. Okay, West Coast. West Coast. Think about it. Remember, where am I? At the West Coast, on the home coast. Okay, yes. 8 p.m. Central and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Want to welcome our Instagram family, our YouTube family, definitely our Facebook family, UK, and also our TikTok family. Guys, thank you once again, always, to take the time out to share and be a part of us. And no more, share and subscribe. Guys, we got to get those subscriptions up on YouTube. I was looking at the other day. What y'all been doing? Y'all watching, y'all go. Okay, it's too much out there going on. Subscribe and share. Get this word out there. Tell people about the truth behind the truth. Well, we're doing some phenomenal things. I mean, we have had some life-changing conversations that you guys really need to be tuning into and go back and see our video log. I mean, to PTSD of religion, black, white women talking, you know what I'm saying? Man issues, I mean, all these types of relationship issues. Y'all got a lot of stuff to go. Y'all better quit binge watching my Beyonce and get on in and watch Truth Behind Truth. Okay. I'm for real. All right.
Goodness. Well,
see, that's why some of y'all still single ladies, because y'all ain't watching Truth Behind the Truth. Okay.
Well, no, Nicki Minaj is out.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She's out. She's out. Yes, Nicki, the bars is back.
Right.
So it's not Beyonce, it's the bars now.
Okay,
yes, and J. Cole. Yes, that's sort of my generation. But yes.
So stop looking at them and start looking at Truth Behind Truth. What I'm trying to tell you, okay? Leave all them rap artists alone, because guess what? They ain't helping you to get no better. Twerking, shaking, and slicking and dicking. Slicking and whatever you do. Whatever you doing, okay, or whatever they're telling you to do. Come on,
what have you been listening to, JB? What have you been listening to?
It's out.
Get some truth behind your truth, okay?
Out. The truth behind the truth. All right.
But anyway.
All right.
Hey, that's what it is, fellas. How you doing tonight, Harold? Good to see you, my brother.
It's good to be seen.
Yes.
It's good to be seen. I'm here.
Great. How's things in Charlotte?
Things are good. Things are good. My birthday is next month, so I've been planning my birthday kind of excursion. I normally don't celebrate my birthday. I haven't celebrated my birthday probably in 20 years. Why? But I'll be 54. And I don't know. I don't know why. I had just had
not. Witness on the side. I'm just kidding.
No. I think it was. After my mom died, I kind of just went numb, and birthdays just didn't feel the same. And this year just feels different. I was like, you know what? Good. I was sharing with my son. I said, you know what? I think I want to do something for my birthday. I've not done it in years. So I'm going to take myself to Miami. I'm going to be on the beach. So I'll be chiming in from the beach.
Okay, all right. That's
all right.
Because actually, we have a big birthday coming up next week, though. Mm-hmm. Somebody's birthday is next week. Mine.
Oh yeah.
Yes, mine's next Friday. It is, and
Are
you a Gemini?
Yes.
You're a Gemini?
Yes.
Oh Lord, I didn't realize you was a Gemini. Whew.
Yes,
I'm a Gemini too. So, oh God, I didn't realize that.
Hey, there we go. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that funny? Y'all are two different types of Geminis. He's all about festivities and parties and being out, and that's interesting. That must be a type of Gemini that I missed.
Well, you know how Geminis are.
Right.
Geminis will change up on you.
They will change up on you. But I've always been celebratory about birthdays and things like that. And then I'm still trying to get my head around this particular birthday. And I think everybody on the show know that this will be a milestone birthday for me. So I'm not. That's all I'm leaving to that. Whatever milestone it might be. Okay. But
a milestone.
Okay. Because I got Oscars I got to get. I got a few Emmys I got to get. So people want to stop you from going forward when you get to a certain point. You know what I mean? Yeah. But hey, whoever thinks that they're lying, okay? We got a lot to do. All right? And got a lot to get done. Parnell, how you doing, brother?
I'm just laughing because we actually have 6 people hosting this show with 2 Geminis.
Right.
I'm done. Well, so how was your week, sir?
It's been good, man. It's been a busy week. You know, I'm out here doing my acting thing.
Yes, sir.
This week was I had like 6 auditions come through.
Fantastic.
So it was just like, okay, memorize this one, record it. Memorize this one, record it. And so I got one more that's due Monday, and I can actually.
Wow.
And I'm happy Harold has a shirt on because his Instagram is always shirtless, and it happens to be one of my festivities.
Said no.
Thank you for supporting.
Yeah.
I love it. It's not my job to make you feel comfortable about my life. Amen.
All right. Yes. Yes.
I appreciate
that. Yes, definitely.
Okay. One second, I gotta take this phone call.
So, how's your weekend?
Oh, well, my weekend was the week has been great. To be honest with you, I am really excited about what's been going on besides what we've been doing on the side,
right?
Work. And then I went back to school some months back and, for physical therapy, massage therapy, and to be honest with you, I am excited for what the future holds.
Yes.
And, I'm geeked up about your birthday coming.
Yes.
So
Yes,
and to be honest with you, it's just, I'm excited. It has been a great week.
Good.
It's been a great week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to our girl, Ethel. Today is her birthday.
Yes.
Yes, she is reaching a wonderful point in her life today as well. So she's out back on the East Coast celebrating.
Yeah.
With her man. She got engaged one week, had a birthday the next. So we are proud of her.
Right. That's
right. She did. So yes, we're excited about that. That is so awesome. So shout out to Ethel. Happy birthday, girl.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Well, all right. We're going to go to a quick commercial, and then we're going to come back in because, hey, we're going to have fun tonight. We got some topics to talk to y'all about, hot topics tonight with the fellas, all right? So we're going to review some of our past shows and some current events and all those good things. So get your seatbelt on. Yes. We may say something you don't like, but it's okay. Get you some wine so it won't feel so bad going down, all right? And we'll be right back with you guys in just a minute. All right, and we're back.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to us tonight, the lively night that we're going to have tonight on this wonderful show.
Yes.
Once again, want to say hey to our Facebook family, our YouTube family, Instagram family, our UK family, our TikTok family, and any other family. All right, welcome to the show tonight. Want to remind you once again, please to subscribe. Definitely turn your friends over to our Facebook page. Let them go in there and get those likes up. Definitely subscribe on YouTube because we want to do some more on YouTube, you know. But y'all got to subscribe, okay? So you can give us that extra push out there that we need. You know what I'm saying? Because Truth Behind Truth is doing a lot of great things. I mean, a lot of great things. We are now a production company here in LA. Which is wonderfully great. Yeah, we're so excited about that as well. And you guys will be hearing about some of the other projects we've got going on. Matter of fact, let's mention that real quick. If you guys go to our page or either my Harold's page or Parnell's page, we're talking about casting for our first reality show. Yes. So this is like phenomenal, guys. We are casting for our first reality show. So you guys need to come tell your friends. Look at the flyer about it. Share it with your friends in the LGBTQ community. Hey, it is a powerful thing. Won't tell you all about it. Okay, you'll get more to come in time to do. But we are taking submissions right now for the casting for that particular upcoming show. It is going to be great. I'm so excited about it. Guys, y'all wait. Oh, I'm excited today. Anyway, let's go ahead and dig in. It is Hot Topics tonight with the fellas. Hey, fellas. Hey, fellas.
Hey.
So,
we're taking it light this week after having some deep and emotional type of conversations for we had the PTSD and we had the sisters. So now we're having kind of a light moment.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of reflective, so that they can, really see what the fellas are about, at the end of the day. And once again, so we can establish ourselves in this community. All right. But yeah, it is. I agree. Taking it a little bit light, I mean, in terms of where we were, because those have been heavy subjects, actually. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, coming out of PTSD, going into the racial challenge, that we have. But I do want to give a shout out to the women. Oh my gosh, you guys were so beautiful. I mean, Tara, Linda, Susan, Ethel, Tawana, Melissa, and Mama D. I mean, you guys have just been. Oh man, it was just powerful. I mean, one of my good friends, actually, adopted sister, she watched the show. She hasn't been able to catch her shows regularly because she's tired of doing a time frame. But she went back and watched the last the rap show for Sister to Sister, and she texted me. She said, "Man, you guys have done something." Wow, And it's good to hear that. She said, you guys are done. And then she said, well, next time you have any discussion where women are together and racial, make sure you include me in the conversation. So she said she wanted to be able to show, behind that. But she felt so moved, and to putting it together. So I said that to your audience, please even go back to get those videos. You can click on them, share them, put them out there, send them out there. Let this conversation be known, to people, and so that they can start seeing their lives a little better. So that they let them know there is cross-cultural harmony and conversation.
Yeah. And this wasn't part of the topic, but this is just throwing random, I was watching just like everybody else that was wrapped up into the Prince Harry interview that he had with Spotify show, and probably I might get it wrong, but it was called Dex and Armchair Stand. I think it was a funny name to it, but he talked about his situation and learning that him being re-educated on what racism and biases really are, what they, what comes with that, and the ignorance that come along with it, not even seeing it until he married his wife. And it's like we had the conversation with the women about the situation at hand, and and re-educating one another on the why does that come, where does it stem from, and and getting everybody up to a certain level of understanding and being considerate of hearing. I think nobody wants to hear anybody, when they talk about subjects like that, when you and receive it.
Right.
I don't think, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to get on topics like that, but I'll have that conversation, but it's needed because it gives everybody time to hear and to receive. But I think I don't know. I think sometimes, and I think that thank God we had that conversation.
Right.
Because a lot of people who did not know, some people who did not understand, now they can receive and they can take that conversation and say, you know what, I have now been awoke to what I have been hearing for such a long time, and understanding now that there needs to be a change.
Right.
So yes, I'm so that was great.
Right.
Because a lot of times we just make assumptions and we think that we know. We think that
Yes.
we think that we know stuff, and we don't know until we are open to having real conversations. And it was
Exactly.
beautiful that the sisters were able to have the uncomfortable conversations, because that stuff is
Yes.
uncomfortable to talk about. But
Yeah.
Most
you
definitely.
know, and I think they showed us how we can do it. And like Ethel
Good point.
kept saying, it all starts with education. Education starts when we just have a conversation.
That's true.
This is how I feel. This is my experience,
Right. Right.
and I think that, it helps us all to see things differently when we are able to hear somebody's story.
Right.
Amen.
And not being afraid to have that conversation,
Yes.
and I, go ahead and make your point, Pernell. I'll go ahead and come and say what I was going to say after that.
Oh no, I was just nodding along with Harold, but with the whole thing about perceptions and not hearing the whole story. And I thought about the young man on American Idol who just left the show because of like some picture or video of him sitting next to somebody with something that was too Klan related or looking. And and how his mom was just saying, no, this is not anything Klan related. They had just watched this movie and they were referencing a scene to some movie or whatever that they had seen. And it's kind of like everybody was he's a white boy from the South. He's got to be racist. And there's more to the story. Let's find out the whole story of what was going on. Because this is like, and I'm like, I don't want him to trot out his black friends in defense.
Right.
But when you tell the whole story, like I wasn't at a Klan meeting when it wasn't anything racial at all. We had just watched this movie and we were reenacting a scene from a movie we watched. Stuff is just that simple, but it gets branded as being that, and without knowing, I don't know this boy from Adam's House Cat. So I'm not going to go and judge him from this one little video of something that, he's from, I think it's North Carolina, South Carolina, whatever. He's a white boy, he's got to be racist. Without hearing his full story, because when I heard that, I'm like going, oh, okay, that's a completely different scenario. Thank you. Okay, well, I just happened to be at the Young Klan rally and we took some pictures and it got out. So very interested to see what happens as the rest of his story about that event comes out. I mean, he's left the show already, but at least he will be able to, if he can prove that this is what it was, like, here's the scene in the movie, here's what we were reenacting. That's all it was. Can we please stop branding me a racist now?
Right. It's funny that this conversation is coming up basically in that and misjudging, a person, and not hearing them truly who they are, because we were watching CNN the other night and I had to apologize to the universe because I made a mistake. Okay. And I say that because Donald and I were watching it, but it was one of the officers at the Capitol, and they were talking about the Republicans, trying to kind of brush off the insurrection, but when I first saw it, I thought, because looking at it, and I'm not, God, forgive me, guys, I'm not a fan of tattoos, okay, at the end of the day, all right? All this ink up and all this stuff going on. So I looked at him, okay, that's moderate, all right? You ain't totally changed the whole side of your face, okay? And then my thoughts behind it, and it's just me, that's my little conservative side, but I always wonder, and I'll make my point, how can somebody sit up under a needle for that length of time, and have all of this done? You know what I'm saying? That's got to hurt like hell. But anyway, tolerance for pain for people, that's a whole nother conversation. But
But that happened on The Bachelor, though. The situation with the girl that.
Let me make my point real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so what I did was I misjudged him, okay, and I had no idea that what he was and what he represented. So I looked at him and I made an assumption. Okay, because it's like you walking into a room and then you walk in the room and see either African American not looking away or Caucasian person looking a certain way, and I misjudged him completely. So I had to apologize to the universe. You know what I mean? Because I was guilty of doing that, which we talk about on the show, not doing. You know what I'm saying? And the mode that we're creating, because we're trying to create authenticity and and building humanity in a better place through this show. So I looked at it, I said, man, I was guilty of this. And then I heard him speak and I said, oh, shoot. his whole perspective was totally different than what I assumed that it would have been. So he was thoroughly upset with the Republican Party and what they were doing. And he said, I'm sick of the shit that they put out there, you know, and he said, this is bullshit in terms of them trying to, you know, to pass off the insurrection, you know. So I, you know, even just the energy that I sent his direction, I snatch it back. You know what I mean? And say that I apologize to the universe, you know, for being guilty of that situation and how easily, because of the way either we see things or put things in our heads, that we misjudge. You know, and I was guilty of that, you know, at the end of the day. But go ahead and make your point now about the Bachelor.
But I understand. I mean, we all make preconceived notions of people when they look a certain way. I thought he looked like one of the Proud Boys when he came on the show. But also to connect the dots with what Pernell was saying, you know, when it came down to the American Idol situation, was the story with the Bachelor, the lady that won the Bachelor, who finally, you know, got the relationship with the first Black Bachelor.
Right.
Let's just say it like that. There was a situation where she did an antebellum picture in college.
Right.
And that cost her the relationship. Now they're back together from what I've heard.
Recently?
Recently. They're back together, which has got a lot of people kind of like, what? But you know, honestly, with those types of stories, and I think that's why people are telling young people like me or who's ever in, you know, behind me, be careful what you put on social media. Do not put anything that might be offensive or say anything offensive, because that will wreck whatever you got going on. Because now people are really going back, and you know, we all know about Chrissy Teigen. And what she's going through right now.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen is going through a whole lot right now, but she is going through not the same situation, but the fact that you cannot put any and everything on social media, because it can come back and it can kick you in your butt.
Right.
After that.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You can't do too much of everything.
Well, you know, and up note, then we'll change our conversation. Even in the up note, and then again, bridging gaps, which we've talked about on previous shows and whatever the case may be. If the fact that The Bachelor and her are back together, I commend them, because what they're showing is that I can forgive you what has happened and the decisions you made in your past and move forward with that, because I see the value in you. You know, and that's very powerful to be able to do that, you know, and to accept that. And to one point is she's being educated, but at the same time, he's saying to her, well, I love you beyond the mistake you made.
Okay.
You know, and that's a beautiful thing, you know, and I think that that's something that we all can practice, you know, to love somebody beyond the mistake that they made, because we're all vulnerable to making mistakes. And then you give it time. Hey, I just said I did, you know, at the end of the day. So that's commendable. I mean, it really is, you know, I mean, at the end of the day. Go ahead.
We have to give people space to grow, you know,
right.
and part of growth is making mistakes, you know,
right.
It's not being defined by that mistake. You know,
right.
Too often, because I did something that I did out of ignorance, you know, then I'm defined
right.
by that. But, you know, we all can grow and evolve, and we are all awakening. None of us is completely woke. I think we all are awakening. We all awaken.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
Go ahead, Pranav.
No, it's so funny because I remember that Eddie Murphy had made a comment about that, because people were so mad about like a gay joke that he made. And he's like, You're still mad at me about a joke that I said when I was 19? Come on. You know,
right.
Like, at some point he's like, I was 19 years old.
Right.
You know, I'm not as aware of things as I am now at 39, 49, you know, etc.
Right.
And I think we all have to look individually, like Harold was saying, we can all look like, oh, I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I did that. But again, I was 19, or I was 20, or I was 25. And even though I laughed, because I was at an event that I was speaking at, and I was talking about some of these youngsters thinking they're so grown. And I was like, little boy, come here. And you know, another young man, he got upset about that. And in my head, I was kind of laughing, because I'm like, on this side of 20 something, you can look back and go like, oh, I thought I was grown. 25. And then when you see yourself at 35 and 45 and you've become a different person, hopefully, you know, you look back at it, and I'm just like, the anger or the insult, whatever that he felt, everybody that is our age, like, I'm laughing because I felt that same way when guys who were older said that to me. So now laughing, like, just wait.
Right.
Just wait.
Just wait till you get that particular point.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
That is so true.
You're right.
Well, I mean, that is good. I'm sorry, we got to move on a couple other topics, but I really want to go back and take a moment, unless you guys have something to add to that point. Let's take a look at our PSTD shows, okay, and then what we felt, about that and the takeaways, and maybe we can still educate our listening audience. And I'll say this before we get into it, guys, if you have not, and if you're having a problem understanding your PTSD of religion, because guess what, you do have it, whether you want to admit to it or not, at the end of the day. And our shows were designed to help you understand the level of freedom that you have by being just who you are. Now, whatever your perspective is, be it Hindu, be it Buddha, be it Christianity, be it Muslim, or whatever that is, there is a PTSD that you're experiencing from not being your authentic self in your religious practice or your belief practice. So go back and take a look at our PTSD series. It was a six series that we broke down, and we went in. We had Pastor Jim Swilly come in on one of the shows and talk about those different things. So it's a really, really good point to be able to do that, because I was just really amazed how it went. But anyway, let's dig into that. Oh, you know what? Before we get into that, there was on, I don't know, Harold, if you saw it on one of the Facebook groups that we kind of into. There was this gentleman that put a post up. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, about him being an atheist. Okay, and the question was about him being able to date somebody, or would somebody date him because he was an atheist. And it blew up a whole nother thing on Facebook, about that, because you have the Christians coming in and, and really kind of saying, well, no, I wouldn't be any part because I got this going on in church, So what, to sum it up, what this guy really needed was the extension of love. Okay. And then the judgment by him acknowledging that he did not, believe or whatever, or has come to this point, it came out of the hurt that he experienced in Christianity. So, which we know we dissected that over the course of the show. So what I did is that, I reached out to him and kind of encouraged him from a perspective, but I also gave him the link to the Truth Behind the Truth series, so that might encourage him to say that, hey, there are people really having a conversation and not judging me for where I am right now, and ready to pull me in. Because and you and I have talked about this before, and I'm sure all of us can agree, there's some points in our life that we have had question whether there was a God or not anyway. And I'm sure, Harold, you can go back in terms of the things the things you went through, in your life. You probably took a moment and said, well, is there really a God? Because I'm going through this. You know what I mean? And we've questioned that idea, because either we felt like that, he wasn't being prevalent in our lives in the way we thought that he should, or however that idea came about. You know what I mean? And to it all. But we've all been there, and I was trying to educate him on the fact that we've all been there. I said to him, I said, I understand. Because there was a part of my journey, this recent journey, not that I was going anywhere, but I got out there, and I got out there and I said, wow, if you're really out there, I need to see something, at the end of the day, and then he showed up, in miraculous ways. He did show up, but go ahead.
But I was about to say, in the series Good Times, wasn't Flora, the mother, Florida, is that how I'm pronouncing her name correct? Was she more Christian than James?
Right.
James, I always thought was atheist in the show.
Well, he was atheist, but I
always thought, his character wasn't more, wasn't as religious as his wife.
Right.
Every time his wife there was a situation, she always said, well, James, you need to ask the father. And James was like, no, but you think about, there has always been relationships like that. I don't know why people, are like, well, if you're an atheist, you can marry a Christian. I think there have always been relationships where there's been divided religions.
Right.
There have been some people who've been staunch, they had a tradition. Judaism and Christian, you had marriages like that.
Absolutely.
So that's nothing new, but people make it now where it's something out of the ordinary.
Go ahead.
But what is so unfortunate is because we don't know someone's journey and their story. We don't know his why, and so often we make judgments and we try to place our ideals and what we believe on other people without knowing their story. We don't know
Right.
what he's
Yeah.
been through. We
Absolutely.
don't know, how he was raised and what it may have happened to him. And it's unfortunate that so-called Christians, judge and attack folks just for being honest, just for speaking their truth,
Right.
and
That's
not
true.
showing compassion and love. And that's what religion and church is supposed to be about, expressions of love and giving people grace. Because you don't know somebody's story. You don't know why a person,
It's
you
true.
know,
Don't.
has made the decision that they've made.
That's true. And I have to say, since we're on the subject, and I know Parnell's shaking, he got some. I'm gonna give you a point 1 second, Parnell. And I have to say again, of being guilty of a part of that religion or that area of Christianity that would judge somebody like that. Oh my God, I remember now. I'm just being honest, y'all. It took me a course in my journey that, and then oh my God, well, if they don't believe in God, then they're of the devil, and which we don't even talk about that type of thing. And they're going to hell immediately, and I mean just all of these labels that we put on it. But I'll say this real quick. I remember when I was back in Atlanta, I was teaching an aerobic class, and I had a guy that was very faithful to my class. Okay, and what I did at the end of my classes is that I would always play a worship song, and it was just kind of invoking. It wasn't to project a certain message to people, but it was just kind of relaxing their spirit or whatever it can be. So it was some good worship songs I used to play. So he came to me one day, and he was very faithful in my class. There every week, a big tall guy. And he pulled me aside one day. He said, "I love your class, but I don't like the religious music you play." And I said, "Wow, okay." So I never knew. You know what I mean? But in that moment, I said, I asked him, me, my curiosity. I said, "So what happened? Why? Did you like it?" He says, "Because I'm an atheist and I don't believe in that." Wow. I said, "Well, I know." He said, "I'm agnostic." So agnostic is kind of like, seekers. At the end of the day, they haven't defined themselves or whatever. They know there's something out there, but they don't know how to, categorize it, as they would put. So I said, "Wow." I said, "Well," and I found a way, and I kind of went with it, and I said, "You know what? Well, I give you, I give you credit for where you are, wow, in the process of being able to seek something out that is best for you." Yes. And I'm not going to sit here and push my or any of the gender. I said, if that you felt that way, I apologize. It's just, I just want you to relax and have a good time. At the end of the day. And he said, and I said some other things to him, in the process, and he said, "Wow, every time I tell somebody that, I get all of this attack." Wow. He said, "But nobody ever approached it to me the way that you did." He said, "Now you feel more comfortable laying on the floor listening to the music." So, but and again, it's all about how you approach a situation. You know what I mean? Because religion is so damnable in its place and what it has injected onto people in their lives. And all of us on this show have experienced it in ways that we can just go on and on and talk about. But Parnell, go ahead with your point, Trevor.
Oh no, I was just nodding and agreeing. It's very interesting, I guess, on my own spiritual journey. What I've gone through. I mean, even though I didn't grow up in a particularly religious household, we did go to church, and I've always questioned stuff, and I've said it before on other shows. Like, the more I looked into biblical history and stuff, the less I believed being taught. Because a lot of the stuff that, and before anybody gets upset and start writing letters to the editor, this ain't church bashing. It's just truth.
Conversation, right?
The more you look into the history of why things were said and why things have been done, it really comes across more as cultural differences and cultural separation than it has anything to do with spirit and godliness or anything like that. And so that makes a complete difference. But looking at several different religions, there are what I call universal truths.
Yes, absolutely.
Love of thy neighbor, don't steal, don't kill, all those things, taking care of the less fortunate. Those universal truths, I think that humanity can relate to, that whether you are a religious person or not,
right?
I think that is our God connection, that when I see somebody hurting, my instinct is to help that person. If I see somebody is hungry, and I'm like, well, you know what? I got a little extra. I don't have much, but I can give you the little extra that I have to help you get through to your next step. And that may be money, that may be food, that may just be a place to lay your head for the night so that you're safe from whatever environment you're in. Right. So all that, those kind of things have nothing to do with religious doctrine.
Right.
And, you know, and I found myself, I think I would comfortably describe myself as being agnostic.
Okay.
Coming from that, because it is a thing like, yeah, I believe that there is something out that connects us all, but I can't buy the, you know, invisible sky daddy, you know, on whether we're good or bad. And if we don't do these things when we die, we're going to burn in it. I don't believe all that. Yeah. And, you know, and it's like, it's comforting to think that when this physical life is over, that we reconnect with our ancestors. And, you know, so I'm like, I'm like, okay, I can get with that there's a spiritual plane that we all come from, experience life here and return to when it's over. And not to get too deep, and I'm gonna shut up because I talk too long, and I got to run to my dinner date shortly. I'm sorry I have to leave you guys. But that is, I think that our spirits return to this physical plane until we learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn to go on. And I mean, I could be wrong about that. I could be right. I don't know. It's just something that's kind of like, wouldn't that be interesting? We see how when people meet someone like, God, I feel like I've known you all my life. And
yes.
Like, well, that's because our soul groups travel together, and we encounter each other lifetime after lifetime in different incarnations. Maybe the last life, I was your brother, you know, in the life before that, maybe I was your sister. In the life before that, I might have been your pet cat. I don't know.
You're right.
Well, you know, and just kind of, and you're so beautifully put the way you put that. I would even encourage you just to probably look at it as that you're a spiritual being. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that allows you that complete freedom to, as all of the connections that you just, you know, so eloquently put, you know, being a part of that, you know, and being a part of it in such a major way, you know, because, you know, we always talk about how our ancestors, you know, are there looking back over us. And then, you know, biblically speaking, you know, the scripture says that there's a great cloud of witnesses, you know, that are out there. And I think that when that scripture was written, I think it was Paul who wrote that, or wherever it was written, whoever wrote it, at the end of the day, I think it's exactly interpreted the same way that you just interpreted it, you know, Parnell, is that it is a part of, you know, of our ancestors and all those great people that are watching back, you know, cheering us on and all those great things, you know, and then we will unite with them at that appropriate time in the second life, you know, or the life after here. Yeah, Harold, you had a point?
No, I was just going to say, you know, well, that's really what faith is. Faith is believing in what you can't see. And so none of us know what really is on the other side. It's, you know, it's just what makes us feel, you know, what makes sense to us, what makes us feel comfortable. But no one really knows what's after this. You know, we can try to philosophize and say all these things, but no one really knows.
As they always say, no one has ever lived to tell about it.
right, exactly.
But if this number is up, I would rather come back as a cat. Because did y'all see on Instagram or on Facebook that cat that flew out of that fifth story window in Chicago?
No.
That thing flew out and landed and bounced right back up and walked away. That might have been his fourth life right there. And from his 9 lives, that was the fourth life. So if my number is up, I'm going to come back warning as a cat.
As a cat.
I want to. It flew like Superman. I'm like, oh. I'm like,
that's funny. That's funny.
So with that, guys, I got to get out of here. I'm so sorry.
Enjoy, Parnell. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you. We'll see you. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Peace out.
Bye. So but that's too funny. Yeah. But anyway, so
that was his fifth life. That was his fifth life.
His fifth life, I know, right? So let's dig into real quick our sister to sister. Oh my gosh, you know, and what we felt that has done for, I mean, just humanity. You know, we kind of touched on it briefly before on a pre-show, but this is a good. I mean, I'm still basking in the beauty of those ladies. You know what I mean? Yeah, at the end of the day, I am still basking in that. My adopted sister, she got a chance to view the show a little bit later on, and she sent me a text so immediately. She said, "Oh my gosh, this was so powerful. You know, for you to bring such brilliant women together. You know." And to have such a powerful conversation, you know, what was your takeaway, Harold? I mean, from it.
Well, just to hear the wisdom from all of the women, and I think all of the women were mothers, and just to hear their wisdom and their compassion for our children, you know, because you know, worrying about what's going to happen and what's to come for them, and trying to make the world better for them. And so, I was learning a lot. I learned a lot, you know, and it was interesting because I don't know if you guys saw it the other day. Michelle Obama was being interviewed by Gayle King.
Oh, yeah.
And Michelle mentioned that she worries about her children. That they both are driving now and they have license, and she worries about her children driving. And this is coming from the first lady. Her kids have Secret Service, and she still worries about her kids. And it made me think about, you know, some of what one of the ladies expressed about, you know, the fears that she has for her daughter, of her children. And so that's a real thing, and it goes across economic lines. It doesn't matter, you know, education, economic. And you have the former first lady who's concerned about her kid. Just imagine, you know, average folks, you know, the kind of worry that we carry, you know, and that level of stress. And for us to hear the Black sisters share with the white sisters that reality, you know, and them not knowing that, because that, you know, for some of them, I think Linda has, you know, biracial kids, and she understands it. But a lot of white women, they don't know that stress. They don't know that that constant nag that you have of worrying about the safety of your children, and not at the hands of some criminal on the streets, but from public safety officers.
Right. You know, and that's that. I mean, that is just such a scary. I mean, it's still a scary thought that's out there because I've got you know, I've got a grandson that's coming up that will be turning 16, you know, in October. And I'm like, wow, you know, I mean, at the point of him getting ready to drive, I mean, he's right there in Atlanta, you know, and all of these things, you know what I mean? I've got a granddaughter that'll be 15, you know, right behind him, you know, and you think about that, you know, my position in that is that I hope that their dad really, you know, gets his shit together to the point where he needs to, you know, so that he can be the true inspiration of the father figure that they need, you know, in this day and time, you know, and, you know, and educate them in ways to just to be prepared for life, you know. And let me ask you, since we're talking about it here, so how do you know, your son's what, 23? So, gosh, you were a baby when you had, right?
I was old.
You were old, right? So, but I know you guys talk about it quite often, and guys, you know, Harold's got a very brilliant son, a writer just like he is, and the whole 9 yards, you know, at that point, you know, but so how do you have these conversations with him on a regular, you know?
Well, you know what the interesting thing is, my son doesn't drive now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He doesn't drive, and he hasn't had the desire to drive, and I haven't pushed it. And I think part of the reason why I haven't pushed it is because of that underlying fear of him being on the road and something happening, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a license, and some of the, you know, some of the youth, like some of his friends, they don't have this interest in driving, and I don't push it. Now. At some point he's going to need it, but he's been in the car with me, you know, when I've been pulled over. And I remember in Atlanta I was pulled over once, and he was like in middle school, and I was being very polite to the officer, and the officer was being very aggressive, and I think my blinker wasn't working. It was something minor, but he was being very, very aggressive toward me. And, you know, and I had to maintain, you know, my composure and be overly polite to him. And he witnessed that. And part of me was angry. I was angry that I had to subdue my personality just to put that officer at ease, and my son witnessed it. It
Right.
made me mad, because I felt in a way emasculated, because I had to be very just almost demure so that so that we could get out of that situation. Yeah, and that angered me. That really angered me and bothered me. That my son witnessed that, but that's the reality. That's the reality.
Yes.
And yeah, so.
And it's kind of a good point leading into just another little discussion about, this whole police reform that needs to happen. At the end of the day, and we did discuss this during, with our sisters, in the process of that,
should it be reformed or should it be defunded?
Well, defunding and reform, I think it's kind of, to me, it's kind of one and the same, at the end of the day, because you take funds away, you're going to be forced to to change your ideas about it, and I think one of the problems is that, as in everything, it's just that they because of who they are, they've been the focal point of society right now. Just put it that way. But here again, it's no different than you have these bad bosses that work, and things like that. And these people are in quest of power, and for that sake that the money keeps them in power, and then they're allowed to do things with that power. At the end of the day, so you have people that have so many personal issues that they're afraid to conquer. At the end of the day, so you got these officers, these people that get these jobs that have control issues. So therefore, they feel like, well, yes, I can control society because I can get away with doing everything that I want to get away with. So my thing is that I don't think it's a point of really re-educating them, because you can't re-educate a fool. Okay,
Right,
a fool is going to be a fool. Period. At the end of the day,
don't they have like psychological training?
Well, yeah, but that was my point. That was to get you. So but I think the evaluation process needs to be a lot deeper. At the end of the day, I think it needs to go into the point where, if you get a job nowadays, I mean, they want everything, blood, urine sample, everything else, just to get hired, to handle cash in the cash register. Okay. So if they're taking the common labor to be able to do that, these same, criteria needs to happen, and even more. I think that they need to be placed in a longer period of a psychological evaluation. You need to be put them in scenarios before you get hired. Go ahead.
I used to work for the police department. I thought I was going to be a police officer. When I was in college, I was a police cadet, and I worked for the Oakland Police Department for 3 years. And I had to go through the same process as the police officers, and part of that process was a psychological evaluation. And the psychological evaluation didn't tell you much. It was about 100 questions on an exam that asks you things like, are you afraid of snakes? Are you afraid of this?
Oh, you're kidding.
It was very basic. And then you did meet with a psychologist for about 15 minutes, and they just asked you questions about your family history. And that was it. That was the psychological examination. But one of the things that I found interesting, my experience working with the Oakland Police Department, was some of the other cadets, particularly the young white men who worked there. One of the things that I found interesting about them, a lot of them were extremely insecure. And I think many of them chose law enforcement to try to overcome their insecurity, particularly of folks that didn't look like them. And so the motive was, trying to get some power. That's what they were trying to get, some power. And they took the route of becoming an officer to get power. I remember one of the guys, Richard, young white guy, not personable at all, but his brother was a police officer. And I was surprised that he even had made it, had passed all of the exams to become a cadet. But I could tell that he was uncomfortable around Black folks, because we would, do different trainings, and he was really uncomfortable. But he went on to become a police officer. He actually became a police officer. But I saw too many examples of folks that were like him that had similar dispositions and were uncomfortable even around me, you know.
Wow.
So I'm
Wow.
like, how are you going to serve a community? And Oakland was probably at that time at least 50% or close to 50% Black.
Right.
How are you? What is going to be your interaction with regular people on the street if you are not comfortable with me, your colleague?
Right.
You know, so what is going to be your interaction? So there has to be, you know, training but not even training. There has to be a reform on the at the beginning of the screening and that whole process, you know, because you can't train somebody out of being, you know, racist. You can't train them out of that. You
can't
know,
re-educate a fool. Okay.
Right.
Because if you go into, you know, you got a point. If you go into a situation where you've been operating in these foolish behaviors for the majority of your life and who you're hanging out with, it's there. You know, I mean, and until you are confronted with it in a situation that is you're losing something. And see, the problem I think a lot of times with situations like this is that people are not confronted in the manner in which they're going to lose something. You see what I'm saying? So if you go into this saying that you will lose the potential if you don't change from being this fool, you know, having this foolish behavior, then you're going to lose. You've lost the job, you know, or if you found in it, like all these events that have gone on. No, fire your ass immediately. Period. At the end of the day, there should be no excuse. You're done. Period.
Right.
But you know, I feel at the end of the day, those jobs, especially if you're a police officer or whatever, they should be treated like any other job in the country. I feel like at the end of the day, there should be a fear in losing a job, and especially that job where it consists of you having a gun, having a bayonet, having a dog. You have, and that's the crazy thing. And I was listening to you, Harold, about, you know, the fact that those people who get those jobs have insecurities, and with that, the situation of having a gun and all that crazy, that is very dangerous.
Yeah,
it's very dangerous. It's very that in itself. If you are that insecure and you're holding a weapon towards somebody that you don't care about and you don't like, then unfortunately, there is going to be a situation where somebody will get hurt, somebody will die, because there's no value in that human life because of your preconceived notions, which we talked about earlier in the show. Like you said about the guy in the tattoos, you had a preconceived notion because you don't like people with tattoos. But there are people who have preconceived notions of Black people, of women, of gay people, of Hispanics. With that type of mindset and having a gun, then that's dangerous.
Right, that's true.
That's very, very dangerous. But it's so sad that Blue Shield is right there to protect people like that on a day-to-day basis. Where you have people in different scores of work, retail, whatever. If you do a bad job, you are fired. And on top of that, you are blacklisted. So if there's a situation where somebody needs you or you can be hired to do that very job, you cannot be hired again because of past situations.
Absolutely.
It should be the same within, you know, the police force.
I agree.
It should be.
You know, and it because they go into this, and then we're going to change our subject, but because they go into this knowing that, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, and not really knowing the repercussions of the potential bad decisions that they're going to make or could make in the process, they feel free about it. You know, I mean, we could look at every little layer of things that we've gone on. All the pieces of people that have lost their lives. You know, I mean, up to the point, you know, still magnifying the most horrendous being George Floyd. You know, and then, but even outside of George Floyd, how, you know, and how could you mistake a taser for a gun? How? Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be fully trained. You're supposed to, you know what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And even at the point, even if that is the case, you should be cautious, period, at the end of the day. You know, I mean, and going to the levels of training, why is it that you're taught to shoot to kill rather than to shoot to stop? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're going to, if it's that kind of situation, shoot them in the leg. Okay, they're going to fall. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Why do you have to shoot for the heart, all of these other type of things, or the back, or what did to kill somebody? If that's the case, you know what I mean? You know, it's, and really, I thought in past history that officers and all this whole new thing that they've done, if they had to shoot somebody in times past, I mean, about, you know, maybe about 30, 40 years ago, that you didn't hear this. You know what I mean? Maybe it was just kept under the cover, but an officer would shoot somebody in the leg, something. If they had to go, use those means, they were not shooting to kill. So where did this whole thing about shooting to kill come from? You know what I mean? Because there's no accountability.
Well, it's always been there.
It probably has.
And it boils to certain communities. Sure. It has always been there. But the fact is, we've had school shootings. We have had church shootings. You never see certain ones, right, because of a bad day, right, get killed. Right. So I'm just saying it's always been there, but because thank God to technology and thank God to social media, it's out there. It's to be seen. It's to be videotaped. Mm-hmm. But it has always been there. Right. It's just now it's just being exposed. Right. And thank God it's being exposed. Right. Because there could have been countless of uncovered murders that we have not heard up until now. It might be a lot of them. Thank God.
It's just fortunately, as I say today, you have the cell phones and all of the means to be able to record what's going on, out there, and it's just sad. So I think that we can agree, and I'm sure Parnell will be in agreement with this as well. We're just going to send the right energy out there to get this reform happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and to reform the whole idea and accountability and start tearing down the things that keep them from thinking they don't have to be accountable for. And make it and fire their ass when they do something. Bottom line, if you know what I'm saying, you can't go on CVS do that. I sure can't go on Asher because guess what? They'll have a conversation. I will say, thank you for being with us, but we don't need you anymore. Okay, and this is the same situation that needs to happen with these officers. You shoot somebody, hey, we'll investigate, but guess what? Your ass gonna be on with suspension. Okay, not with money. Right. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be on suspension for 3 to 5, whatever, how many days it is, and hit their ass in the pocket. I'm just being blunt. Hit them in their pocket, they'll stop the shit. You know what I mean? Right. Because you'll find that the other officers that had that idea in their head that they were going to get away from something, they start learning from somebody else. Thank God, Derek, whatever that jackass name that killed George Floyd, is going to jail. Okay? Yeah. Thank God he has been the example of what will happen moving forward. But the thing about it is that you got to stick to it. You got to stick to it, definitely. So let's move on a little bit more. So anything you wanted to share about Harold today?
No, I was going to just say the reason that I quit the police department was because I was on a ride along with a white officer, and it was my first time riding with them. And there was a group of guys, there were about 6 black guys that were standing on the corner. They weren't bothering anybody. And the officer said to me, he said, I'm going to pull up on these guys, and if they run, we're going to chase them. Well, why are we chasing? Why are we even approaching them? They're not doing anything wrong. They're minding their business. Right. They didn't, nothing. There was no transactions taking place. He just saw a group of black guys that were gathering, and he pulled up on them, and they ran because, and we don't know why they ran. They probably ran because they didn't want to have any kind of dealings or interaction with them. And so here we are chasing these guys who have done nothing to warrant us even approaching them. And it was after that incident that I'm like, you know what? This is not for me. This is not what I want to. This is not what I want to be doing. Why are we harassing folks that aren't even doing anything? Right. And they could be running because they're afraid of the police. Because why are you bothering them? You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it is a military tactic, CK Ford, about the shoot to kill. I don't understand why there should be a shoot to kill anyway. Even with the girl that pulled out the knife, that could have been other ways of getting that knife down. And but
yeah, I mean, we could go
into so many situations, but it's just so sad that where it boils down to kill somebody.
Yeah, I mean, again, and it goes back to the value of life has just been completely lost. And I won't say completely lost, but to those that think that they can get away with it, at the end of the day, the value for human life is no longer there. And it has, to me, psychologically, there has to be a problem. You know what I mean? There's a serious problem when you can feel like you can just do that. And it goes back to, as you said on one show, that the police system is just the modern day slavery roundup. At the end of the day.
Cousin Tawana mentioned that it was basically the police department that's just came out of slavery. Okay, yeah, with the
right.
slave catchers.
Slave catchers,
Yes,
you know, at the end of the day, and that. So, we, you know, as we do on this show, we have to continue to speak against things like that, but yet expose the truth behind the truth in it. And then, you know, I hate to use the term. Hopefully, when somebody sees this, that they get the idea, and it could be, you know, one of my, I will call my Caucasian brother that has been guilty of this, you know, at the end of the day, and needs this mind change. The mind change can happen. You know, but you've got to be willing to educate yourself in a different place, like we talked about on the show with our sister. When you have that willingness to have the conversation, the mindset can certainly change. Harold, do you want to bring up anything tonight, or we can go ahead and wrap it up tonight? Or do you have anything you want to talk about? Okay, you have anything else you want to bring up tonight?
Oh yeah. On a lighter note.
Okay.
If you are a Janet Jackson fan, she had an auction today in Beverly Hills. And I'm just saying, I wish I could have been there, but we have to do a show. So those who did go, you know, just please post what you bought so I can just see what that is, you know, and just really be green
vicariously.
Yeah, I'm very curious to what she is selling these days.
Well, you know, and the beautiful thing about that, and let's put this disclaimer out there, because Miss Jackson and everybody on this show, and including Barnell, he's not here at the moment, but we're super fans, okay?
Yeah.
And understand, but this is not because Janet was broke, all right? I want y'all to know.
Janet's not broke.
She took these things and put them up to auction for a children's foundation fund, so that they could have that. So, you know, and this is why she contributed as something. So let me be clear, be perfectly clear. She ain't broke, okay? Janet make more money sitting home every year than most people think about in an hour. Okay. So she got plenty of money going on and got more coming up. So anyway, we love you, Miss Jackson. Okay. But anyway, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. This has been a great show. You know, next week again, we will be right back again with hot topics with the fellas. Okay.
I mean, I'm so sorry, y'all, but the fact is, everybody been chiming in. We had some great people that chimed in today, and we do see y'all, Ethel and Teak and my goodness, Miss Linda, Melissa, Choice. Thank you, y'all.
Yes,
thank you. Keep on watching us. Keep supporting us, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
As we said at the top of the show, you know, subscribe, like, share.
Yes.
Get your friends involved, because hey, these conversations are very, very important to have. You know, after we through with this company, we're going to start another series coming up called The Writer's Page, which is going to be good. We're going to be having our authors, you know, come in and share their books, and then we're going to have cross conversation with two different authors, you know, coming up. We're going to hopefully have Tara Calt back, you know, about her with her book. Our sister Cheryl K. Ford, she's our sister out of Atlanta. She's just written a book, so we're going to have her on. I've already discussed with having her on, you know, to show as well. We got our dear beloved Harold. Okay, we'll be the center of that. All of the mammoth books that he has written, you know, at the end of the day, and so we're going to dig into that, you know, in a future show coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're going to start out what we call the Writer's Page. Going to be a very good time with that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight to The Truth Behind the Truth. Again, your time zones, wherever you are, you know, in its perspective. Okay. East Coast time, 9 p.m. All right. Central time, 8 p.m. And on the West Coast at 6 p.m. We love you guys. Thank you for all of your support, you know, and all the great things that you're doing and sharing about us. And keep in mind, we got something great coming up, man. I'm telling you, the reality show that Truth Behind Truth Production is doing. You know, you can go to our page and see that, and encourage your friends to try to be cast on it. They're looking to get married, they better get on the show. All right. Y'all have a great night. Harold, love you, brother.
Love you.
All right. We will see you, of course, in front of the camera real soon again. Guys, have a great night. Great night for all of us. All right. Thanks again for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth. Good night, y'all.
Good night.